button for our session, and I'm going to invite Ann Bird, the president and partner from CTQ, to bring greetings. And a reminder before she does that, if you would mute
You
your
shake
microphone.
it, knock it on the counter.
Ann, please, president and partner of CTQ, bringing greetings.
Thanks, Lori. Good evening, everyone. If you've just come in the last minute or so, you've probably already recognized you're going to have a very entertaining webinar this evening. We are so delighted to have Jerome Washington and Will Anderson, who have been longtime network members of CTQ's amazing cadre of educators from throughout the country who have informed and made us so much smarter around various projects we worked on at the Center for Teaching Quality. And we were so delighted that Jerome and Will answered the call to step up and lead one of the webinars in this series we've been offering over the past few weeks, and we'll continue to offer going into next week. So we are delighted, Jerome, that you and Will are here, and you've got such a great group joining you already, and we look forward to learning from you around this very forced transition we all have found ourselves in of late. So thank you all so much in advance for being here and supporting this work. And Lori, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Ann. I'll go ahead and, so this is what you signed up for, or what you showed up for here, Culture and Magic, bringing the intangibles of classroom, a classroom to digital space. And I am absolutely certain Will and Jerome are masters at this. And this is why we have them do workshops like this and not those of us who are staff at CTQ, because it is so important that the real lived experience of practitioners like all of you in the room and like Jerome and Will are the ones that are the voices that are lifted up, especially in these times that are so unprecedented, and you all are leading the country, leading your schools, leading your kids, and doing amazing things. So thank you for that. And so what CTQ does, our tagline is inform, inspire, innovate, and we inform the field of education based on lived experiences of educators like you and Jerome and Will, and based on research. We try to, well, we host events like this so that folks like you can learn from with each other and gain some inspiration about and rejuvenation around what you're doing, especially in these really interesting times. And then we partner with organizations, districts, schools, state agencies, unions, anybody who's interested in doing the real innovative work that is led by educators. We partner with them to work to design solutions that work for them and create a system that works for students. So that's, oh, I think I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Lori Nazarino, former educator of 25 years, staff at CTQ, and so happy to hand this over to Will Anderson and Jerome Washington, who are some of my favorite edu heroes in the world. And so I'm excited to learn from and with them. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Jerome and Will, and be quiet because these are the folks you came to hear.
Jerome, you can start us off, man. I'm going to talk for a minute.
All right. Real quick, we want to just give a brief, that's not it, brief introduction about how we came to be a part of the Center of Teacher Quality. And my introduction was actually through a peer evaluator who I call my superhero, who let me in all kind of doors. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with them, and I really love that they give opportunities for teachers to kind of do contract work and excel and be a part of like major things, as well as teaching other teachers. Hey, somebody knows how to use the little diction thing. That's cool. Will, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone, man. Just a big thank you for everyone who's joining us. I got connected with CTQ through Miss Lori, who is just a boss of any and all things. And she asked me to do something, and when Lori asks you to do something, you say hell yes to it. And I've been rocking with CTQ ever since, and have been blessed by the people that I've met and the opportunities it has allotted. So again, I'm just so happy to be here with you all.
All right, so the moment you all have been waiting for, we are going to talk about culture and magic. Just bringing those intangibles into the classroom in this new digital space. So get ready. Next. If you haven't figured out now, I'm Jerome and he's Will. And we're like the best play cousins ever. So I'm glad that you guys came to have fun with us. We're going to have fun either way, but we're glad that
join us.
We're glad all you guys are here. Just some norms. You guys know what to do. You're grown. So we just put a couple of things like keep an open heart and an open mind. So as we're talking about things and maybe you feel a certain type of way about them, that's okay. Feelings are good. Just allow other people to have those same feelings. And none of us are experts at anything really. But just keeping an open mind that this is like the grocery store. So hopefully you can take one thing away. Hey, it's my people from Memorial. They're in the house. Sorry, from that. Next thing is question everything. But since there are so many people on tonight, do not question them out loud. Please question them in the chat box. Will and I will be monitoring the chat box and giving everybody an opportunity to get your questions heard, and unless we call you out loud, please keep yourself on mute. I know there's babies and dogs and all kind of random things, people in the drive-through, so let's just make sure we keep ourselves on mute and respect everybody else. And our last picture is to share. We love you guys' input and your information and your knowledge and expertise. All of us are coming here from different perspectives and experiences. Starbucks. So just make sure that you're sharing and you make this as great of an experience as you possibly can. Let's have an amazing 1 hour together, and hopefully we all can leave with a lot more knowledge. That's all. Take it away, Will.
Well, all right. So for this first part, I want to be able to share with you all not only some strategies, but like by telling you them, but also model some of the work. So the way I'm going to work through my few slides is doing something that a mentor of mine, Miss Krista Moreland, showed me a few years back called a Zen PowerPoint. And Zen PowerPoints can be a really cool tool for students to be able to engage in doing work in a traditional yet untraditional fashion. Most PowerPoint presentations look similar to the slide that you have up here, but with a Zen PowerPoint presentation, there's no words. And by having no words in just a single or double image up, it really pushes the presenter to be able to be knowledgeable enough about what it is that they're talking about that they don't have to lean on the words on the slide for them to be able to talk about whatever the topic may be. And it also gives the audience a visual to connect the learning to. And I personally think Zen PowerPoints are a lot more fun and a lot more innovative than your traditional PowerPoint. So in us learning about culture and magic, from here out, I will present using a Zen PowerPoint style presentation. Okay, please feel free to steal this as much as you like. If you have any other questions, please put them in the chat box, and I can provide you with all the context and insight that you may need. So you can go to the next slide. As we're thinking about learning and teaching in this new remote learning space, one thing that I found myself, I teach high school in Denver, Colorado, social studies, civics, and ethnic studies to mostly juniors and seniors. I feel like my brain, my teaching style, my pedagogy is very much this before picture. It is a ton of stuff that I think every single thing is important. And I need all of it, because if I don't have my briefcase, if I don't have my random bed sheet or whatever that is in the bottom corner, I might need it and I'm going to be pissed without it. And when we move to this digital space, I want to be able to bring all of those things with me, because the reason I have them is because they are so, so, so important to me. What I think this digital space and remote learning is going to ask us to do, especially if we're interested in bringing in our students' culture, if we're interested in bringing in our students' social and emotional wellness, is that we're going to have to start to look at this after picture and learn how to make room. We're going to have to make room for this new space. We're going to have to make room for a different experience and a different style of teaching that we're going to need to be able to best support our students. I like to believe that this after picture has every single thing that's in the before picture in it. What it is going back into the room, reorganizing and positioning things in the way and in the space that they need to be in order to optimize the room that you have to work in. And in this digital space that we have, the room that we have to work in is literally infinite. And we have so many different access points. We have so many different things that we can bring to our students and allow our students to bring to us. If we can make room, all of a sudden a room that in the before picture looks like it couldn't fit a human being in the after picture, we can invite people into this space and everybody be comfortable. So as we're thinking about making room, the thing that I want to push and challenge us to make room for in our digital spaces and our remote learning is for vulnerability and making sure that we are still connecting our students, connecting to our students beyond material, beyond content. I think it can become really, really, really easy for us to see people as just faces on a screen and not provide any context to who these human beings are once they close their laptops or once they hang up their phones. So for our next slide looking forward, we're going to be really trying to talk about ways that we can make room for our students' humanity in a digital space. I think the first thing that we're going to have to do is know that safety is first, and that making sure our students know that I'm going to open this space up to you. I'm going to open up a platform for you to be yourself. And I want you as a student to feel safe in that. I want you as a student to feel that what we do here, you're not opening yourself, you're not exposing yourself to malicious behavior. You're not exposing yourself to something that in a digital age that can be captured forever and then held against you at a later point in time. So making sure to set up the safety parameters, the norms, the expectations, the accountability measures, all of those pieces in our remote learning spaces, I think is the absolute first thing that we have to do. That is followed by us as the instructors being the ones who step out and demonstrate any and everything that we ask our students to do. If we're going to ask our students to be vulnerable, and I think about my population, which is mostly 16 to 18, I think I might have one 19-year-old student. These are people who are so fragile. These are people who are so nervous and so worried about who it is they are and their reputations and what it means to be 17 in the world. I could not ask them to do anything that I would not be willing to do. I think about vulnerability in allowing our students to know that, especially when we don't have the physical connection of a classroom, of a school, that we're human and that in this transition to this learning space, we're all going to struggle. One of the first things that I did in my remote learning was to upload a video of myself talking to my students about how I'm dealing with being quarantined, with being stuck in the house, with not being able to go see my friends and not being able to go to work and hearing about people getting sick. And I mean, I had a open and honest dialogue. I think the first video I uploaded for them was at least 10 to 12 minutes of me just what I titled getting it off my chest, and then invited my students to do the same. Like, yo, upload a video. We all have, most of us have access to technology that's going to allow us to be able to film ourselves. Man, get it off your chest. Tell us exactly how you feel about having to be stuck in this space, and allowing them to just share it. Like, I think we forget in just wanting to be so academic, like, oh man, we're losing days, we're losing weeks in the classroom. I need to teach my kids math, science, photosynthesis, and osmosis, and all the different things, that we forget that we need to also allow them to just be human beings and to be pissed off that they're stuck at home. To be able to say things like, school, one of the things that I heard from students was like, school was their safe haven. School was their retreat from the madness that was happening at home. And now they're just stuck in it. And there is no escape. They don't get those 8 hours a day to be somewhere else, to be with their friends, to be with other people who care. Other students said the opposite, like, yo, I was so sick and tired of school. I love having to sit behind my computer and doing this thing. By us making space, by us setting up safety, and by us modeling that, we can start to invite a very humane experience of what schooling can be like, even through a remote digital space. So if you go to the next slide. Another thing that I've asked students to do, that I have intentionally tried to make space for, and that I invite all of us to make space for, is to allow students to use this distance learning as it's kind of giving them a deep breath to be able to express who they are. So if you're looking, as we're looking at this image, I know so many of my students, and I'm willing to bet too, that so many of my staff members, or the staff members that I work with and serve at my school, come to school with our mask on. We come to school with a mask on that says that we are a professional, that we are a son or a daughter, a husband or a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, with all these different images that we like to project. We like to put this happy mask on, we like to go to work, and we like to act as if everything is okay. And then when we get home, we get to retreat, we get to take our mask off, and we have to actually deal with a lot of the different pain of who it is that we are, whether that's bills, illness, just overall unhappiness, whatever the case may be. And we don't necessarily really get a opportunity within a regular traditional work day, school day, to be able to deal so much with this stuff. Well, this digital platform provides us with an opportunity to be able to kind of interrogate some of that work, because we have time. We have so much time. And with all this extra time, it begins to say, like, hey, you're sitting in, it's asking students, it's asking staff members, it's asking yourself. You're sitting here at home with all this extra time. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? What are the things that you're happy about with you? When was the last time you made a list? What are the things that you're struggling with? When was the last time you made that list? What are some of those things that you want to change? Why do you want to change those things? And thinking about root cause analysis of oneself. We're so quick to do root cause analysis of like solving problems within our building, with telling students on how to research whatever our content or area expertise is. But when was the last time we did a root cause analysis on self? And then created a space to be able to hold one another accountable, to be able to say, yo, I need to do better at procrastination. I'm going to put this video up and I'm going to tell my fellow classmates, hey, y'all, man, I went through my list. One thing that I'm mad that I do all the time is I procrastinate. And I hope you all can help me be accountable to this thing that I'm dealing with. And pushing one another and making it okay. One of the things that I shared with my students was my transition into being a dad. I was blessed with a son back in February. And as much as I thought I was ready for it, I was not. It went really fast from being like the world was about me and everything that I want to do, to now all of a sudden, like, I always got to take care of this kid. Like, he's always there, like always. Not some of the time, not a little bit of the time, but literally all the time. And any and everything he needs, I somehow have to provide for it, or his mother has to provide for it. And like, that transition, as much as I thought about it and as much as I thought it was going to be a thing, was welcomed, but it was honestly, it was difficult. I'm a very independent person. I like to do what I want when I want to do it. If I want to get on a plane and go to Japan tomorrow, if I got the money in the bank, I want to get on that plane and go to Japan tomorrow. I can't do that anymore. I can't go to the store if I want to right now. You know what I mean? Without having to set up the right this, and that to make sure that this little itty bitty human being is taken care of. And that was a struggle that I had and that I'm constantly dealing with. And I had to tell my kids that, because I want them to be able to tell me the struggles that they're having at home. Because I want to be able to make sure that as we're learning social studies, as we're learning civics, as we're learning ethnic studies, I can have these things in mind. So as I'm gauging student engagement, as I'm grading student work, I can know all the nuance that goes into the work that I'm receiving from those students. Because in a traditional classroom, I can have these conversations day to day. We get to physically see each other. But with this switch to the distance learning, those things were changed. So again, I invite us all to interrogate this pain, to take our mask off and to be vulnerable, to make space to be vulnerable. We can go to the next one. And I believe this is the last one before I hand it over to Miss Washington. This comic here is all about, I thought it was a super slick way of somebody asking for their parking to be validated, and they just tell them how great of a parking job they do. You know what I mean? If you're gonna ask your students to do this work, if you're gonna ask your staff to do this work, we have to validate that they're doing the work. It can't be fluff work. I can't ask my students to take their mask off, to make videos, to discuss their pain, to discuss their joy, and then fail them because they did that and they didn't want to do an assignment about voting rights. Like, both of those things have to matter in my classroom. Both of those things have to be validated. The civics lesson is very important. They're in a civics class. I want them to learn civics. But also this vulnerability work, I think, is just as important. And for another webinar, I'll argue is far more important than anything that I will ever teach them in civics. And I need that to matter too. I need that to carry grades with it. I need that to carry weight with it the same way that anything else does. It has to be validated. And by us making sure our students know that all of the work that we're doing matters, I believe it could give us, and our staff, I believe it can give us an opportunity to really create a digital classroom culture that will help continue to facilitate learning. I think it's over to Ms. Washington.
That is so awesome. So he said a lot of things about how we teach, about this time, what it looks like. How are you guys currently feeling right now? Are you feeling, and you can go ahead and put your image in the chat box. Are you feeling overwhelmed, like that drowning sign? Are you like, I'm okay, I can hear what you're saying and maybe I can apply it, but I'm just all right, I want to hear more? Or are you like, oh, it's awesome, I'm living my best life? And none of those come with judgment. I was talking to my friend about that. It's when the world is at a pandemic or a problem, I think we need to realize, like, a lot of our kids were living at a problem heightened level already. So yes, we want to be thoughtful and caring, but to realize it's okay to be okay right now, and it's okay to not be okay. And both of those are fine. So let me see in the chat box. How are you guys feeling? 3 kids, switching, got the flooded, living my best life. Ooh, Allison had a lot. That's a lot to read, Allison. Okay, miss my babies. I miss my babies too.
Very much so.
There's 60 of y'all on here, and I know I did not read 60 things. And they're downloading actual files in here. Stressed. Okay. Seeing your kids. All right, I feel you. There's so many different ways that we're all feeling right now. And hopefully at the end of this, you guys can feel some lighter, some hope. I want some good vibes coming. Flip it to the next slide. All right. I don't know if you know, but you guys are already magic right now. Before we left, you guys were giving feedback and having relationships and putting in content and building class cultures and dealing with grown people and parents and all those things. And some of you might have been feeling overwhelmed there. Some of you might have been like, yes, I was just getting in my zone. And then there was something that happened. Flip it. Da-da-da, the Rona. Then the Rona happened. So when you guys found out that we were going to be teaching online like everybody, give me one word that described how you felt. Pissed. Nervous, shocked. Yeah. Oh, no. So a lot of stress, a lot of shock. Okay. All right. Angry. I feel you on that. Excited. Overwhelmed. Thinking excited, shocked, nervous. Yeah. So all these emotions came up and I was feeling like you guys, like, we're going to do what? Like, why don't we just call it a year? Like, but then I wanted to get my paycheck. So I was like, all right, I got to do my best job ever. So I was like, I got to figure this out. So flip it to the next slide. Hey, Allie. I want you guys to know that you guys are so powerful, and the powers that you guys had in the classroom carry over to this new platform. Go back. You're telling my secrets over there, Lori. They go now. So we're going to walk through some of these powers that you guys have and how we can together translate them onto this new platform. So the first one Will talked a lot about is that you guys care. Like, we care about our kids. We call them our kids. So that already tells you something in itself. But how do we convert that care that they used to see and feel, like hugs and high fives and dabs and conversation? How can we now move that to this platform? So right now, I want you guys to give some examples of how are you showing your kids that you care. And as you guys are writing, I'll just tell you some of my own. Like, I've been giving my kids like encouraging messages, texting them fun things to do and silly things, but just really showing them it's not about the work, like he said, necessarily. It's about you. How are you doing? And I see some people are saying positive messages, Zoom calls, Google Classroom. Kathy, you can unmute yourself, Kathy. What are you talking about, Google Classroom? How are you using that? Kathy, unmute yourself. Or maybe Trisha can tell us. She has the same thing, starting our conversations.
Here we go. We do morning meetings, weekly reports, just saying hi, how you doing? Letting us know, letting them see us and we see them. I'm in special ed in pre-K, nursery school to kindergarten. So we do a lot of things like that, hands-on, letting them see us and doing stuff like that. And screen taskify and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really good. Client says, no, we're helping teachers, see you're showing students. Rachel, you have something different because you are actually working with teachers. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself. How are you helping teachers and in turn helping students show how they care?
My role as an equity and inclusion resource teacher, I work on a team where we support that type of work in schools. And so our giant message when we've been providing digital PDs in the past few weeks is just making sure people understand that right now it's about survival and it's about knowing that they are loved and cared for, and that collectively we're going to get to the end of this somehow, some way. And if it means communicating the message that we support you, then, you know, grades can be talked about later. It's about acknowledging that our kids are experiencing a enormous variety of situations right now, whether they're losing a loved one, they're worried about job loss with their parents, maybe they're a caretaker now. Just making sure our teachers know that grace is huge, and celebrating common humanity and moving forward from there.
That's really good. One of my friends, Ben from Alaska, he likes to remind that this is not like we keep saying distance learning, like we just are doing this just because. And I like how you added, like, there's a situation happening which is causing us to be at distance learning, and we need to keep that situation not necessarily first for fear, but first that the situations that be happening at our kids' home have a more global context, and we need to keep that in mind. So you guys are doing some amazing things here. I see a lot of people saying like hand notes and Zoom's Flipgrid. I've seen people say that about 4 different times. I did Flipgrid for the first time. It's really, really awesome. Hopefully one of you guys will tell us about that when we get talking about tools later. But keep that in mind, that care is a power. It's huge, and it's impacting our kids for the better all the time. And I want to remind you to care for yourself also, and the kids that you have at your home. Don't get too much that you're caring about these kids that you forget about the people that are closest to you. And then that's so easily to do when you're thinking about being in a crisis. Go ahead and flip. All right. My favorite, go Power Rangers. Teamwork. Just because we are isolated does not mean we are alone. And this is not work that you should be doing alone. Even more now, we have people, because you think you're alone, so you're like, oh, I don't know where this kid is. I don't know where that kid is. Your team is the most valuable piece that you can have right now, and really seeing the collective of the whole child. I know people are meeting on Zoom with their teams. Weekly meetings is what our team is doing. And we're discussing, like, have you seen this kid? Have you seen that kid? What's up with this? What's up with that? Not just to place blame, like he's doing your work, he's not doing my work, but really to find out what is the whole story and whole picture for these kids. Because just like everybody else, people vibe with certain people, and that's just true. And when they were in school, they could do that and come to your class prepared with their vibe, and now they can't. So make sure you're using your team. Also, we have some really cool things. I know there's a lot of Twitter chats going on, fast ones and slow ones. I know there's a Teacher Strong chat. Will, you have some other chats that you've heard of?
No, my chat's been little baby mumblings.
The baby chat.
That's been my chats for the last 2 months. Unfortunately, you know what I mean.
Well, that's okay. If you know some more chats that you want to recommend, you guys, go ahead and put those in the text box. But use all your teachers and your resources, and you guys are here, so it's pretty much preaching to the choir on that. But just like the Power Rangers, you're better together. Apart, Power Rangers get beat up all the time apart. So we got to stay together. Flip it. Thursdays. There's a remote learning chat Thursdays. Okay. Cool. This is my favorite one. Your next power is you. It's your style. It is your swag. And you guys already have it. So now we have to figure out, how do we take that swag to another platform? My husband reminded me of something really awesome. He said, it's just like if you went from Facebook to IG or IG to TikTok, the people that were following you on Facebook, they're going to go with you to IG because it's not the platform, it's you. They like you. So they're going to keep doing that. So now what we have to figure out, kind of like Will was talking about, is how do we take that style and put it on this new platform? One thing I've been doing in my Zoom chats, I know some of you guys said that you're not able to have cameras, and for me that's critical, although Flipgrid would be a better way to do that if you can't have live cameras on your Zoom. But we're still doing those mnemonic devices and dances. We do dances to learn stuff, and we're still doing them there. I treat that as a traditional classroom where we're still having those fun times. We're still doing creative projects and having prizes and being silly. I was telling them just a second ago, we have a lurker that comes on our Zoom, and we decided he could stay, and we're going to do 20 questions with him. Like, we're just going to play and have a good time. But for you guys, Josie likes Flipgrid. What are some tools and tricks that you guys are using to help convert your style? Another thing that I've been doing is videos. I do a ton of videos. I think I'm a YouTube star now in my heart. Only there, because they're terrible videos. But I do them and I don't edit them. It's like, hey, we're on Miss Washington's porch, and here we go. And the kids love those just because they're silly and goofy, and I make a lot of mistakes, and that's was a part of the fun of being in my class, is they can catch me making all my mistakes. So what do you guys got here?
We had a participant asking for an explanation of Flipgrid.
Okay. I'm going to let somebody that knows more about Flipgrid answer that, because I've only used it one time. I know Trisha.
Josie did one last week, so I nominate Josie for that.
Unmute, Josie.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
So great to see you all. Will, nothing but love for you, my friend. Yes. So Flipgrid, the 30-second Flipgrid, I do not get paid by them, but I should figure out a way to do so.
Yes, girl.
This is a way, this is a way for you to be able to make your videos real quick with being able to bypass YouTube. You can do it on your phone. You can send it to your student's phone. You can send it to their Google Classroom. You can send it to their email. And it's a way for them to be able to see your directions. I usually create a one-pager alongside with my Flipgrid, and then I use my Flipgrid video time to explain my one-pager. And then students also have the ability in Flipgrid to be able to respond back by making a video to you, so that you can kind of talk, not exactly at the same time, but they could provide feedback. And then there's even an option where students can provide feedback to one another, thus increasing the peer-to-peer conversations and diving deeper into rigor. So that's just like the real quick and fast, but it's a lot of fun.
I see some links there. Go ahead. I hear somebody else unclicking. Anybody else want to talk about Flipgrid? Somebody asked 90 seconds, Tranika. The videos have to be 90 seconds. So it's like visible Twitter almost.
Yes, my daughter, she actually did one with her PE class. And so all of the girls, she's at an all-girls school, they all had to do an improv dance and upload it to the PE teacher, and they could see each other with the music they chose and the different dance moves that they wanted to display. So it was really cute, me watching it with her and us videotaping it. So you can use it in different ways. It's normally like 30 seconds, a minute, you know, a minute and a half. It doesn't have to be long, kind of like TikTok, Allison was saying. So it's fun.
Well, that's really cool. Somebody asked, what kind of prizes do I give? Well, our school had this school store that has all these prizes that kids could buy, but now they can't buy them. So they were able to let me go pick them up, and I mailed them to them, and they're little stuff. Some people like these little bracelets. One of the teachers at my school sent her kids these little bracelets, and they like them more. She's an ELL teacher because they feel like it's more cultural to them, and that was dope. Let's see, Marco Polo. What's Marco Polo?
Marco Polo is similar to TikTok, but you can create a video and then you can send it to recipients, and you can also create groups there. So if you wanted to create breakout groups that don't happen live but could be recorded, you can do that. And then there's even an opportunity for you to leave a quick little, kind of like a little voice bubble where they can receive feedback. It's pretty fun.
I like that. So we've heard from, we talked about Marco Polo, we've talked about Flipgrid, we've talked about making videos. Does anybody else have something that they found that helps them translate their classroom style onto the virtual platform?
Google Classroom has been a great tool for me. I had already been using it as a platform in my classroom when I was doing, when it's just school, was just school. But being forced to live there solely has just really just kind of opened up the door for the different things that you can do within that platform, from videos to music. That's one. You can send Spotify playlists to students, and been having connecting playlists to content and curriculum, and then they can just, everybody has the access to the music. Even if you don't have your own Spotify, you can click on a link to a Spotify playlist and be able to share those things as well. So that's been dope.
That is awesome. I see somebody says they use Quizzes, and I know Miss Cannon on here, she also uses Quizzes. Been sharing the science or history of random things around my house. I love that. That's awesome. We had a thing where they learned how to make soap, which if you don't know how to make soap, be careful. It's not a thing for young kids because it's an exothermic reaction, which means it gets hot, and you have to use lye. And I thought I was gonna get fired, but it was really awesome. Just something cool that they could do that was relevant. Let's see. Rhonda, you're doing a good job. All right, TikTok, we have Brain Pop is really good. So you guys got some good ideas. And hopefully we can like put all these somewhere, Lori, so that people can have access to some of the ideas that other people are saying, just in case you need. Show and tell with their kids, scavenger hunts. That's always good and fun. There's a way to do karaoke. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but karaoke is really fun. Also, Acapella is an app, and you usually use it for music, but you can do other things on Acapella, like make a play. So if you have kids say their part, or maybe they're part of the speech, then they can give it to another contributor, and you can make a whole situation with Acapella. So those are cool things. Thanks, Lori. All right, Flip, you guys are exciting. Feedback. Now, the power of your words is huge. And I think that this is something we have to be very careful of, because just like you wouldn't text somebody your what do you call that? Like if I was gonna ask you to marry me, I probably wouldn't do it on text, or break up with you on text. Things can get lost in translation, and that happens a lot, especially when we're giving feedback to people that may or may not be in a vulnerable situation. So just think about like texting your husband or your wife or your child, and they've just experienced like the worst day ever. And you're like, why didn't you do the dishes? You need to do the dishes on Tuesday. It's 5 o'clock and the dishes aren't done. So think about that. When you send messages to kids, it comes off in the tone of however they're feeling or however they see you. And that could be good or it could be bad. So be mindful of how you're speaking to the kids. When you're giving feedback, are you being punitive or are you being supportive? So instead of saying, why didn't you do my work? Maybe, hey, I haven't seen you in a week. Are you okay? Or maybe if they need to do something over, hey, you had a really awesome start. You're missing this and this. Do you need help? Can I help you do anything else? Or do you know how to do this? So being very careful in our feedback to our children and how we're using our words is really, really, really important. Yes. She said she's had kids like yell at her on the phone and things like that. And for some of them, this is like the first time that they've been with their parents for a really, really long time. Like even in the summer, a lot of kids go to summer camps or YMCAs, but really having to sit inside your house with your parents may or may not be a stressful situation. Josie said Flipgrid is great for feedback because you can hear their feelings, and that's really, really cool. And that was something I liked about that. Flip it. All right, so we are winding down, you guys. We actually only have 15 minutes left, and I don't want to leave without you guys having your own dance party because that is the most important thing. that you can do. All right, but just thinking about what are we teaching right now? Some of us, and it depends on the state, but a lot of us have some no testing or things like that. So as you're thinking about what are you teaching, is it helpful or relevant in this specific environment? Like, do we really need to know your favorite word there, Will, osmosis right now? Like right now, is osmosis important? How can you think about what you're teaching and make it relevant, or teach something that is relevant? I think everybody's going to come back to school, and this is my own thought, so I could totally be wrong. We all know that these kids have been in a pandemic. So when they come back next year, nobody's going to be like, test me today, right now. What did you learn during the distance learning? So really use that freedom to help your kids and do something really cool. Second thing I have too many screens open. Let me move some of those. Is it engaging? This is always a big question because really they don't have to come. If they didn't show up, they're not going to repeat the year for the most part. There would be so many things that have to go on. So when kids are coming and using their time with you, that's an honor in itself. So as you're putting stuff together, think about that. How can you value their time by giving them something that is engaging and not just busy work or fluff work or the worksheet that you found yesterday because it was really easy to put together? So is it engaging what you're doing? And why does it matter? I like that. And then the last one, and it might, I don't know if it's the most important, but it is very, very important, especially as seeing, I have 3 kids of my own. So seeing how the work has changed from the first week to this week now, is it doable? Did you actually teach the stuff that they need to do what you're asking them to do? Can the kid that is the most confused, or maybe the middle of the run kid in your class, can he do it? Can he find it? Is he gonna have success at it? This is not like, let's have the super challenge test right now. And I'm not saying that kids can't be challenged, but I'm saying, did you put together this lesson in a way that they have all the tools that they need to get her done? And so those are a couple of tips. Do you want to add anything about that, Will?
Yes, I think what's relevant to us might not be relevant to students. So
Right.
I think that's something we also very much have to recognize. I know I'm a NPR junkie, and I love catching the news and my man Steve Inskeep and Rachel Green and stuff and them in the morning. But my kids, not so much, you know what I mean? Not necessarily because it's not important stuff, but to them, they're like, what does that have to do with the price of rice in China right now? You know, I have to be able to find a way that if I do find something fascinating, if I do find something that's I think is relevant, I have to be able to understand and know my students enough to make it relevant for them. I think that that really brings it back full circle to the creating an open and vulnerable culture in your classroom so you can learn your students. And if you know your students, you will know what's relevant to them. You'll know what matters to them if you know who your students are. But if you, to your point, are just like Googling lessons because you get to sit at home and collect a check, you know what I'm saying? Like, chances are they're not going to engage in that. They're not, because it's not going to be relevant.
Right. Josie said something that was very important. Echo. Oh, I had DJ Quick on my thing for a second. But she said something really important. Doable, meaning also, is it accessible? Some of the platforms that we use at school on a big computer look fine on a big computer, but some of our kids are doing their work on their phones. So thinking about that, like, do they got to go to this click and this box and click this folder and find these things? The more click they have to do, the odds of them doing it is becoming less and less and less and less. So make sure that it's accessible and it looks good on the phone is one thing. I use Nearpod a lot because Nearpod has a phone app, and even if you don't have the phone app, it looks clean on the phone. They can find the things, they don't have to click through it. Somebody teaches Spanish and yeah. So just make sure that that's popping.
I would also like to add too, with us having these digital platforms to do the work, lessons can become teaching students how to use their technology to help them better access material. For example, we did a tutorial on how to use Google Translate, did a tutorial on how you can highlight stuff on the computer and make it read it to you through Google. And just being able to show students that because you're at home cooling and you're doing this thing on a computer or you're doing this thing on a phone, there is ways that you can access the information that you might not have otherwise. Like, I know we do a ton of reading out loud in class, and I know there's part of the reason I read out loud in class is because I know students are struggling at reading. So I wanted to make sure that those students who I know struggle reading can still access the printed material. And by showing them how they can use Google to read them articles, that allows them to still be able to engage without having to feel like, oh man, Anderson and other students aren't here to read to me. I don't know how I'm going to do this thing. So us just teaching students how to be resourceful, that in itself is a lesson. That in itself is relevant. And it doesn't always have to be about, social studies, science, osmosis.
Osmosis. I love that. I love how you said, there's so many tools out there, but really showing our kids how to use those tools is really important. We got click. All right. So here are some tips when you're building engaging distance learning experiences. And again, they can be about whatever. Doesn't matter what the content is. I love how Will said making sure that they're looking at themselves. You're using this as that. One thing I always like to add is curiosity. Me especially, because I have a short attention span. I don't know if you guys got that yet. Might be why I dance so much. But if I don't need to know it, I don't want to know it. If I'm not curious, if there's nothing to stick it to, then it makes it more difficult to learn, especially in a time like this when it's very easy to do other things. So build in curiosity. Uh-oh, I lost my screen there. Also, like you said, relevant knowledge, we talked about that. Having them create. Kids still love to create. That doesn't mean that what they create needs to be $1 bazillion or even something that is tangible. Creating music, creating art, creating thoughts, creating COVID-19 masks, but thinking about things that they create and practice. So again, when you're doing those lessons, if they don't have time to practice on the lesson, what was the point of doing it? And that might make you rethink some things. Allowing students to communicate their learning. Like you said, that matters, whether it was the learning about themselves, that sound is so wonderful, learning about themselves, or the learning that you're asking them to do. If it's just like this lesson and done, this lesson and done, that might make them stop engaging. So allowing them to communicate, giving them effective feedback that's positive and timely, which can be hard because we're chilling too. So making sure that they're getting timely feedback really helps them to continue to engage with you. Like, yes, you did great. Hey, all you guys passed this quiz, or hey, round of applause for these people. They got this stuff done. And then providing opportunities for them to fix errors and show their learning. So it's not a one and done. It's really easy to give quizzes right now because they're auto graded on a lot of things. But if they're not able to make mistakes and learn, then they're not able to be vulnerable. Will, you want to add any more to tips on experiences?
Make it fun. If you don't enjoy it, they won't enjoy it. The last thing a student wants to do is like see you come on there just bummed out and pissed you have to do something. They're just not gonna want to do it. So like make sure what you're doing is something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about. And I think this distance learning is providing us an opportunity. Maybe it's not being said out loud, but we have a lot of autonomy in this space. At least I can speak for what's happening in Denver and some of the other spaces that I know around the country. we should take advantage of it. So for so long, we've been begging to be able to do what it is that we want, what we think our students need. Right now, you have the opportunity to do all of those things. So I say, like, run with it. I mean, do what you got to do. Enjoy it. We have, I think, 6 weeks left. Why not make it the best goddamn digital 6 weeks you can make it?
All right. All right, go ahead and flip, Lori. We are down to 4 minutes and we need to have time to dance. So hopefully you guys, we thank you. You guys are awesome and amazing. And I know sometimes it feels like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I know some of you are having observations even in this distance situation. So you're awesome. Just want to tell you that. And I'm about to turn the music on.
Do we have a contact slide?
Oh, no. I'm going to type it in there. Sorry. Go back to the thank you slide. That one's cute.
Okay.
Not that we're not cute. We were cute too.
You're cute also. So I'm going to stop sharing and invite everybody to join me in thanking Jero and Will and for a highly interactive and engaging time together. Thank you so much. And for all of you that joined in this evening, thank you so much. There's so many other things all of you could be doing, and just the fact that you showed up and that was a live chat box for sure. Your active engagement certainly is a testament to your commitment to your profession and your kids and your community. So thank you for being here, and we hope to see you in some of the remaining workshops.
We got 3 minutes. Dance party. This is a vibe. There you go, Rachel.
There you go, Rachel.
City.
I disappeared. Flip your hair, Will.